Chapter 5 Meeting with the Informant. The informant appeared unexpectedly. Night on the Ark was not dark in the usual sense. The corridor lights glowed dimly, reflecting off polished panels, and in the park beyond the panoramic window a fountain quietly poured water, a reminder that life went on. Daniil opened the door to his small apartment in the mid-ring residential module and saw a figure in the shadow, a man who looked as if he had been through a storm. He wore a simple work jacket stained with reagents. Worn trousers completed the image of someone who lived among pipes and instruments rather than in luxury. He was a former biomedical engineer named Kai. He had come to Daniil at night, his eyes full of fear and guilt. Kai had not come to the station center or the council hall, but to the part of the Ark where engineers and technical staff lived. Narrow corridors, maintenance hatches, the smell of grease and ozone. Here the walls were covered with labeled panels, and cables ran along the ceiling like dry roots. Kai spoke quickly, sometimes stumbling, but his voice carried genuine remorse. He did not try to excuse himself, he tried to explain what he could hardly bear. Through the window the tops of the park's artificial trees were visible, their leaves shimmering in the lamplight. They sat at a small table by the window. Outside the glass, the park and the fountain. Inside, cold light and the smell of ozone. Daniil switched on the lamp, and Kai's face became visible in every detail for a moment. Kai looked different from what Daniil had expected. He was not a caricature of a villain or a mad scientist. He was tired and worn out, his eyes bearing the weight of decisions made. His face was pale, the skin under his eyes dark from sleeplessness. Hair once neatly trimmed stuck out in different directions. Traces of chemicals and small cuts marked his fingers. Kai explained that he had taken part in developing a technology that extracted something from people they called temporal essence, an elusive substance linked to memory and the sense of time. According to Kai, wealthy clients paid huge sums for the opportunity to implant this essence into their bodies to prolong consciousness and slow aging.
Kai, whispering, almost without pause.
I worked on this project from the beginning. We thought we were helping. We thought it would save people. But it is not salvation. It is commerce.
Daniil, calmly, evenly.
What exactly were you extracting?
Kai took a deep breath as if gathering strength and began to describe the process not in technical terms but in images.
We extracted what we call temporal essence. It is not blood or neurotransmitters in the usual sense. It is subtle patterns of memory, fragments of the sense of time, the very moments that make a person who they are. We learned to isolate them, concentrate them, and store them. Clients paid to invest these fragments into themselves. They thought they were buying time. The process was brutal. It required partial destruction of the donor's personality, and sometimes, total loss. Those who underwent the procedure lived longer, but lost parts of themselves. I left when I realized the program had gotten out of control. I saw people vanish without a trace, labs working at night, the council turning a blind eye.
A low hum filled the room, as if the station itself were listening. Daniil, harshly.
And the donors?
Kai, his voice breaking.
Donors lost things. Often, parts of their personality. Sometimes, everything. They woke up and did not recognize themselves. Their memories became empty spaces. Some retreated into silence, others into aggression. We thought it was a side effect. We were wrong.
Kai pulled a slim drive from his inner pocket and handed it to Daniil. Lines of code and names flickered on the device's screen.
I left when I saw it spiral out of control. People disappeared without a trace. Labs worked at night. The council looked the other way. I couldn't watch anymore.
Daniil, taking the drive.
Are you sure that's everything? Is there proof?
Kai. Yes, camera lists, access codes, delivery logs. I saved everything I could. But listen to me, Daniil, they know who is looking. They will not stop. Data transfer and warning.
Kai handed not only the drive but also a sheet of paper with notes, camera numbers, timestamps, names of guards, delivery routes. He explained which modules were closed to outsiders and which access codes were used to move the containers.
Short list Kai gave.
Access codes to technical airlocks, camera numbers in the medical module, timestamps of night deliveries, names of guards and escorts, routes for container movement. His hand trembled as he wrote, and the ink on the paper was smeared with sweat. He looked at Daniil with a plea and fear. They will not stop. If you start digging, they will come for you. But if no one starts, they will continue. I cannot stay silent any longer. Daniil nodded silently. A plan was already forming in his head, but he did not show it. He saw in Kai not only an informant but a man who had paid for the truth with his conscience. Kai rose slowly, as if every muscle resisted the movement. He clenched an empty drive case in his hand, then, without looking, shoved it into his pocket, a small gesture that seemed like an attempt to keep something of his former life. His eyes met Daniel's for a moment.